Hey everybody, today I'm going to go over 10 of my favorite retro and retro-inspired games that I played in 2023. This list contains both games I never played before last year, as well as games I had played in the past, but had been at least a year or so since I played them before giving them another go again. If you're a fan of retro and retro-inspired video games, and either you never played some of these games or it's been a while since you have, I recommend that you consider trying some of these games out this year. Here they are in no particular order. Let's start out with Crusader of Senti for the Sega Genesis. I used to own a copy of this back in the day, but due in part to how it's now crazy expensive to buy it, it wasn't until I got my Sega Genesis Mini 2 last year that I played through it once again. It definitely feels like an answer to Link to the Past for the SNES. And while not as good as that game, it does offer enough adventure to make it worth your while. It also features an interesting buddy system where animal companions can enhance your abilities. If you're both a fan of Sega and Zelda, it's definitely worth your time. Let's stick with the Genesis for the next game, Madden 98. I've always been a fan of the Madden games, but I never gave this game a real try until last year. It came out back when the Genesis was near dead and the PlayStation ruled the Toys R Us video game aisle. It's basically a copy of Madden 97 with a few added bells and whistles, but Madden 97 was a great addition to the series, and the extras helped make Madden 98 the better of the two games. Next, I have Another World for the Amiga. I knew this game as out of this world growing up, but no matter what you call it, it's a great game. The game itself is short. You can complete it in under 30 minutes when you know what you're doing, but it will take you much longer to actually figure out how to play this cinematic adventure platformer. You'll die a ton in the process, but the atmosphere and experience is top-notch and I highly recommend it. Dodo is a more modern release that really captures the feel of a 1980s arcade game. The premise is simple: grab all the donuts on the stage, but it can be real challenging to pull it off. This title features colorful graphics and an absolutely rockin' soundtrack that may remind you of some Konami NES games. It's on a lot of platforms and it's usually around $5, so any fan of 80s arcade games like Donkey Kong should give it a go. "2023 was a disaster of a year for almost anyone hoping to get the Intellivision Amico console, which was promised to get a ship date way back in February, but a ship date never materialized. However, some good did come out of it. Friend of the show Gatorus decided to make not one but 3 games inspired by Amico titles. Ski-Fall was based on skiing, Astro Clash was based on Astro Smash, and Shark Park was based on Shark Shark. The hook was a self-imposed deadline of only 24 hours of programming per game, although he could use assets he had legal access to. Best of all, he combined all 3 and published them for free on Steam under the name Amicade. I had a blast trying to top the leaderboards in all 3 of the games, and since it's free, there's almost no excuse not to at least try it. The end of 2023 saw me bust out my Magnavox Odyssey 2 and play KC's Crazy Chase for the very first time. This Pac-Man-like game has you eating the segments of a Dratapillar while avoiding his head. It's easy to pick up and play, and one of the better Pac-Man style games from its generation. If played through the Odyssey 2 voice attachment, you'll also get some great speech that adds to the enjoyment of the game.
Incredible. Oh. Ouch. Oh no.
I played Impossible Mission a lot as a kid for my Atari 7800. I never did beat it though, since the US version of the 7800 game had a bug that made the game truly impossible to beat. Thankfully, I was able to play through the C64 version on my Evercade last year. This game has you jumping over robots and searching items for puzzle pieces to put together. It's a fun platformer, especially if you play a version you can actually beat. My modern Atari VCS got some action thanks to Alien Abduction. This modern 2600 game was made by the creator of the Atari 2600 classic Hero by Activision. You'll need to use your gun and thrusters and move pretty fast if you want to complete each stage in time. This is a no-brainer for VCS owners, and hopefully it will find a home on other platforms or even be released as a physical 2600 cartridge in the future. Let's return to the Genesis with Gain Ground. While I've been aware of this game since it was released, I never gave it a real shot until it was suggested to me last year by my Patreon supporters. This game mixes commando-style action with some strategic elements. You collect several new characters to help you on your quest, each with their own unique abilities, but you can lose them for good if you're not careful. Each level is almost like a puzzle, trying to figure out who to use and how to finish it before the timer runs out. This is another game included on the Genesis Mini 2 and offers a great mix of action and strategy. Finally, we have Full Void. This modern game plays like a love letter to another world. It's another cinematic adventure platformer where you will die a ton and have fun doing so. Set in a dystopian future, you need to navigate dark streets, avoid the bad guys, and overcome many puzzle elements. I personally love the look and style of this game and thoroughly enjoyed playing through it. So there you go, 10 of my favorite retro and retro-inspired games from 2023. What do you think of these games? Are there any you might give a go in 2024? Are there any retro or retro-style games you recently got into? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next time.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay